All right, today we're breaking down a really high-stakes, friction-filled alliance. You've got a street-level hero who's all about protecting his neighborhood. And then you have a global shadow organization that plays by a completely different set of rules. This is the story of what happens when total opposites are forced to team up to save the world.
Okay, so let's dive right in. To really get what's at stake here, you have to understand the two sides of this equation, because they are radically different. On one hand, you have a hero who knows every single block of a city. And on the other, a group that sees the entire planet as one big chessboard.
Yeah, this is a story about two completely opposing poles of heroism, two totally different philosophies forced onto the exact same path by a threat that, frankly, couldn't care less about their differences.
So on one side, you have Static. He's the protector of Dakota City, and his whole deal is transparency and being connected to his community. On the other side, the Shadow Cabinet. This is a super secretive group that manages global threats from, well, the shadows. For them, the mission justifies the means, and secrecy is their greatest weapon. I mean, they couldn't be more different.
But here's the thing. All those deeply held beliefs, all those opposing ideologies, they were about to be rendered completely meaningless by a threat that was somehow both cosmic in scale and deeply, deeply personal.
And that threat arrived in the form of an alien intelligence, Brainiac. This wasn't just another villain of the week. No, this was a crisis so huge it made all their philosophical differences totally irrelevant. It was going to force them to work together whether they liked it or not.
You see, Brainiac's attack started in a very specific, very clever way. It started locally. It went right after the source of power for heroes like Static and the other Bang babies in Dakota. This unique energy, the quantum juice, basically put a giant bullseye on the city, making it ground zero for a planetary invasion.
But that local threat, that was just the opening act. Brainiac's ultimate goal was way, way bigger, to digitize and harvest the entire planet. The attack on Dakota was just step one in a total global takeover.
So this is the crucial point. Both sides were forced to look in the mirror and admit they couldn't win this alone. Static, for all his incredible power, knew his neighborhood watch style just wasn't going to stop a planetary harvest. And the Shadow Cabinet, for all its resources, realized they lacked the on-the-ground trust and, more importantly, the specific powers that only Static had.
And this led to a really uneasy pact, an alliance that wasn't built on trust or shared values, but on pure, cold, transactional necessity. Static became the key to winning, but he was terrified he was also just a cog in a much larger, darker machine.
It all came down to the Shadow Cabinet's mysterious leader, Dharma. He actually had a precognitive vision, and he saw that only Static, with his unique mastery over electromagnetism, was the biological key they needed to disrupt Brainiac's advanced tech. He wasn't just an option, he was their only shot.
And right here you can see the bargain they struck. It was a pure transaction. Static provided the tactical firepower, the electromagnetic mastery, and the trust of other heroes on the street. In return, the cabinet offered up high-tech transport, global surveillance, and basically unlimited resources. It was a simple trade, his one-of-a-kind power for their worldwide access.
But even as he agreed to help save the world, Virgil just could not shake this feeling that he was just a tool. He fundamentally distrusted the Shadow Cabinet's motives, fearing this whole Brainiac crisis was just being used to manipulate him for some darker purpose he couldn't even see yet.
And you know what? That suspicion wasn't just paranoia. It got put to the test right there on the front lines, where their two wildly different worldviews collided in the middle of battle, forcing them both to confront the real cost of their methods.
For Static, this was a massive, massive leap. I mean, he was yanked from the streets of Dakota that he knew so well and just thrown into the cold, clinical world of global geopolitics. All of a sudden, his decisions didn't affect dozens of people, they affected millions. This was the ultimate test to see if his moral code could survive on a planetary scale.
Meanwhile, the Shadow Cabinet was having its own crisis. Brainiac's data mining was so good it was stripping away their greatest weapon, anonymity. For the first time, the shadows just couldn't hide them anymore.
Their entire top-down, secretive way of operating was completely useless against a hive mind like Brainiac, which actually thrives on centralized data. They were forced to realize that the only way to win required the exact thing they didn't have, the decentralized, unpredictable, almost chaotic energy of street-level heroes like Static.
So this intense collaboration didn't just win the war. It fundamentally and permanently altered every single person involved. No one walked away from this the same.
A really strange thing happened in the heat of battle. You could call it a kind of philosophical cross-pollination. Each side, despite everything that made them different, started to see a little glimmer of truth in the other's perspective.
Static started to understand the immense, crushing burden of global stewardship that Dharma carried. And at the same time, Virgil's relentless empathy and humor, it was like a constant reminder for the cabinet that their tactical objectives and their cold calculations were meant to protect real people with real faces. Ultimately, the Brainiac threat proved a crucial point. Neither way of doing things was enough on its own. It was the combination of Static's heart, his connection to the people, and the cabinet's intellect, their strategic overview, that created a force Brainiac's pure logic just couldn't predict.
So once the dust settled, the Alliance left behind this really complicated legacy. It wasn't friendship, not even close. It was a state of mutual wariness, but also a much deeper understanding of the other's role in the world. The social contract between the city's heroes and the world's guardians had been completely rewritten.
And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? Their cooperation saved the world, sure, but it also exposed all their secrets and methods to each other. Now they face a future where they have to calculate what's more powerful, the new respect they forged in battle, or the old suspicions that never really went away.